Hey YouTube, this is Dylan from Yagamoto, and today we have episode 1 of my locals adventure. This is something new I want to try in order to improve my own gameplay by analyzing my own footage and getting feedback from the community on each one of my plays. Any tips on how to improve or make this content more enjoyable will be much appreciated. Thank you so much and enjoy. So game 1, I'm playing against my very good friend Jiggy Jigsaw. All his socials will be linked in the description below. He's playing Kuro, and generally I think that Kuro is a pretty hard matchup for Zoro. I win the dice roll and I choose to go second because I believe that Kuro has a better going second curve. He goes first, ends up passing. I add my 2 Dawn up, play double buggy with both of the buggies. Unfortunate, but it is what it is, and I pass turn. On his curve, he goes and plays the cow, and I've never seen this card before, but it looks like it's just a vanilla 4K, and so I guess he's just trying to get some pressure on board. He passes back to me. I swing 5 with buggy, then play Magra, swing 7 with buggy, and then now it looks like I'm going for another 7K swing. On the first swing, he ends up triggering Nami, searches top 5, he picks up the Jin. Now I'm waiting for him, and then I swing for a 7 again, he takes it. We pass back over to him now, and he's on his 5 Dawn curve. I feel like I am in a really good position right now because I have a lot of pressure on board. Let's see what he does here. Right, so he ends up swinging 5K at my buggy. There's nothing I can do there. He's already done his job. And then he swings a 4K. I will opt to protect the buggy here, and he swings 5 at my leader, which I will graciously take because I whiffed 2 buggies earlier. I am now at my 6 Dawn turn, and usually as a Zoro player, this is where I begin to establish a really strong board, and I'm pretty sure I have the Marco in there we go. I do have the Marco in my hand. I will go ahead and pop the Nami, and I will opt to leave 1 Dawn up because I am at 3 life now, so I do want to go and protect my life. Pass back over to him, leaving 1 Dawn up, most likely for the guard point in my hand, and we will see how he decides to counter this. He'll go ahead and swing at the cow at my buggy for 5. I will protect, and he will KO using the Krieg. I think I did predict the Krieg here, however, I wanted him to use up all of his resources here. And at first I wanted him to swing twice into my buggy, but yeah. Now I am at 2 life now, so I am starting to feel a little bit of pressure, but this is also where Zoro gets their power spike if I have the Radical Beam and the Blocker Marco. Alright, I go ahead and swing 6 into the cow. Swing 7, it looks like, into lead. Trying to even out the life at this point. And then it looks like I am going to play another buggy. Alright, there's no way I whiff 3 buggies, right? Statistically. I pick up the guard point. Play 4-drop Marco, and I am sitting pretty. So I did see him search the Jin earlier, and I make a mistake. In my head, I thought that Jin pops rested character, so I wasn't really thinking that he would be able to answer my Marco here. And it turns out he actually rests 2 characters that are 4 cost or less, and it just completely makes my Marco kind of useless. So, like I said before, he plays the Jin, ends up resting my Magra and my Marco. I have to read it because I was so confused. And at this point, I'm getting a little bit worried. Alright, so he swings, it looks like 5 into my leader. I end up taking it, I think. Yeah, I take it, and Lord and Behold, I trigger the jet pistol. I felt like I was playing yellow at this point because that was crucial. I end up KOing the Jin on his board, making him have one. Well, I mean, he wasn't going to be able to attack with it this turn anyway, but it clears his another big body off of his board. I talked to him after the match, and he said that jet pistol right there was so crucial, and it really, I think, was one of the big reasons why I ended up winning this game. Right, so he swings for the double attack at my leader. I think he goes for 8k at this point, and in my hand, I basically have a 0 counter, and I cannot be in a position where I'm going to be at 0 life the following turn, because he can then just rest my Marco again, and then attack at me for game. So I opt to double guard point at this point, over countering like crazy, just in order to make sure that I will have 1 life for the following turn. He drops another Jin down, no effect because all of the main cards in my, like, he didn't have another attack, so he couldn't rest anything and attack it anyway. I am now at the 10 Dawn turn, and my goal is most likely to either kill him this turn or try my best to, or set him at 0 life and hopefully leave some Dawn up for some defenses. Alright, so it looks like we're going to opt to clear board here. I'm going to swing 9 into the Krieg. He can either choose to protect it or let it die. He decides to let it die. I'm going to go 7 at life. He takes. Now he's at 1 life. I play the Machina. 7k again with Buggy at life. He takes it. And then now I can either make a decision where if I try to kill him this turn, I could go 7 and then 7 again with Magra and my Marco. But I believe like the more safe and the more 100% kill play would be to swing with the Magra for 7. And then leave 1 Dawn up for if I end up getting a guard point or rad beam out of life and have a blocker up. Now at this point, the only thing he can do in order to basically checkmate me is he needs to play a card that can rest my Marco so that he can get 2 attacks in, because he needs to have 2 guaranteed attacks. So that Marco and my 1 Dawn that I have left up makes it really hard for him to guarantee the kill on me, and it makes it, I feel pretty confident that I can survive 1 more turn no matter what, and then kill him on the following turn. Alright, so here it looks like he's going to try and clear board in order for me to have less attacks next turn, so he's most likely not going to be able to kill me this turn. And because he ends up clearing my board, I feel very confident that in his hand he basically has either only counter or he is stuck with a bunch of cards with no counter. He goes here, he swings 7 into my Marco. I can't remember at this point if I have any events. Oh, I do. So I do end up protecting the Marco using the jet pistol that I had in hand. He plays Krieg and KOs 2 more of my cards. Now I am in a position right now, he has no blockers on board, 2 Dawn up, so he's either bluffing or representing a Punk Gibson here. And so I have to play around this. I end up going for the kill right here, so I swing first with Marco for 9. He ends up having the Punk Gibson, he plays it, and the reason why I did this first was because Punk Gibson could rest my Marco, and if I had my blocker Marco rested, that would mean I would only have 2 attacks. And yeah, he wasn't able to counter up after that. Alright, next game. This is going to be game 2. We're playing against my very good friend Monkey. He's playing the Whitebeard, and unfortunately this was one of the first times that I recorded on my phone, and I didn't see that I didn't have my life in the shot because we wanted to use this new mat. So all of my life is kind of off screen, but the Curly Dedon is the furthest that I do play my board, so hopefully this is good for you guys. I'll make sure that in the future we have our life in the shot as well. So I opt to go second here. He plays Nami, and then on my turn I play Curly D. Standard play from both of us. He swings for 5 and then for 6, and then passes turn. I swing with Curly D into his Nami and swing for 6 into his life. He counters out, play Izo, and I grab my Marco out of my deck, which in my opinion is going to be the key component in this matchup. Play a second Izo, very good on me. Grab the Fire Fist. Fire Fist being an amazing card, one of my favorite cards in my deck. I used to be an ace player, so having Fire Fist, being able to play Fire Fist in Zoro is amazing. Now we get to the 5 Dawn turn. And he swings at me for 6k, and then I counter out of it with Otama, and he swings at me again for 6k. It looks like here I decide to counter again, and it looks like from what I'm seeing is that he's countering out of all of my attacks, which means that the higher I stay in my life, the more comfortable I feel on it. There's always that other type of Whitebeard who just takes every life, and those make me feel very uncomfortable because I feel like swinging for 6 is just never enough. I Gordon here for 1, and then I also establish a Marco to KO the Luffy, and I have to pass turn here because he is a 6k leader and I am unable to swing into him. We are now at the 7 Dawn turn, and he opts to go for a 10k swing here, which there is no way that I can block out of that, and now I am finally at the 4 life mark, and he is at 2. For those of you that don't know, Whitebeard is a 6k leader that has 6 life, and every turn he takes 1 life off the top of his life and adds it to his hand. Essentially, he's dying 1 life per turn. Right, so it looks like I decided to go 10 here, try to get some cards out of his hand. He goes Red Hawk, KOs my Curly D. And then I'll go 8 here to make him drop 2 more cards out of his hand. So it looks like that 1 Dawn that he had left up that we thought was for a guard point was just a bluff. We end up dropping 2 and play the Fossa. Fossa is a 2-drop Whitebeard Pirate blocker. So here he plays the ace, minuses my Fossa and my Marco, and then he swings 6k at my Marco. I protect it with the Fire Fist, which ends up being a huge mistake. He swings once again at my Marco. I let my Fossa die here, and then he plays double chopper. Him knowing that I only had that 1 Fire Fist was huge, or him thinking that I only had that 1 Fire Fist was huge because at the time I really only had that 1. Playing the double blocker was really big. Unfortunately for him, I do have a buggy in my hand. I searched top 5 and managed to pull another Fire Fist out of my deck. At this point, it's like rough for him because he just used up both of his weenie blockers. I drop a guard point, KO both of them, and once again, I'm in a winning state. I had 1 Dawn to Zoro, and right now is my chance to pressure him as much as possible, get as many cards out of his hand as I can. That is my entire mindset going into Whitebeard, is to make sure that by the time he hits 0 life, he has as little cards as possible so that I can go for the kill swing. He counters out, swing again for 10, he takes the life. He is now at 0 life, but he has a very healthy hand. I think at this point he had like 8 or 9 cards in hand. and he's feeling pretty confident about himself. Leave 2 Dawn up, representing either a guard point or a rad beam. Alright, he swings 9. It looks like he swung 9 at my life. I'm so sorry about the angle, guys. I can't even tell if I'm taking life or not. Right, I play Izo, grab another Marco at this point. Oh, no. I triggered a Whitebeard Pirate out of life and I grab a Marco. He plays Frankie, setting up for the following turn. And he leaves 4 Dawn up. In order for me to do the most amount of damage here, I think the best thing for me to do is to swing first 6k. Oh, it looks like I go 7k with Marco first. And then I swing 15 at life. He Red Hawks, KOs, and he counters out with everything, which is crazy. But this means that on the following turn, if he doesn't play any blockers, I should have the dub. Unfortunately, I can't even see my own life right now. I'm so sorry about that. If I could, he might be trying to go for game here. If I'm over 2 life, he's probably gonna be trying to find a more defensive play by maybe clearing my board. Okay, he swings heavy at my life. I counter out of it. He plays Nami, most likely trying to search for a rad beam, or he already played the rad beam, a guard point, or any kind of defensive part, and he just wasn't able to find it. And then next turn I just swing for 16 in his game. Alright, game 3, we're playing against a red-green Law. I win the dice roll again, which is crazy. I am just on a roll with the dice rolls. I opt to go first because in this matchup, red-green Law, well actually red-green Law can really go first or second, so I would rather just be in a position where I am stronger. And he opts by playing Killer first, which I've never seen a red-green Law player play that before, but so I actually forgot what that did completely. So luckily I switched to Vista turn 1 using Izo, and then I just popped the Killer on the following turn. This is against my really good friend Nathan, and yeah, dude, we've been going back and forth on these red-green Law versus Zoro matchups all the time. He swings 5 at me, I take it. He plays Nami, searches the starter deck Zoro, which is a 6k on any player's turn. He plays the Robin, which is a really strong card against Zoro. And as long as he can protect it, he's basically popping and attacking every single turn. I swing 5 at his life, he takes it, play Marco, and I pop his Nami, and I'm establishing as strong of a board as possible before he starts swinging with his Robin. He swings 5 at me. I counter out with Curly D. And then he swings 5 at my life and KOs my Vista. I counter out using Magra because I don't really have a strong 1-cost unit on board. So there was not really a point in me keeping it. And then here, wow, he plays double weenie blocker and the starter deck Zoro, so now he's really close to being able to shambles the following turn. For me, my #1 priority this turn is going to be getting rid of that Robin because it is a menace. It will basically keep my board in check the entire time, so I swing 6 at it. He loses a weenie blocker here. Swing 6 again at it using Izo. You can see that he does have that blocker Law in hand. He ends up blocking for it twice. Honestly, like if it was me, I might have kept the Robin. I would have let the Robin die and then maybe kept the 2 on board just so that the Shambles becomes easier next turn. But I'm not a Red Green Law player, so it is kind of hard for me to say. I search the blocker law, and I have 3 Izos on board at this point. He attacks into one of my Izos and then swings 8 into my Marco because started Egg Zoro gets an extra 1k whenever he gets 1 Dawn on him. I opt to bring my Marco back by pitching a Jet Pistol out of my hand. Plays Otama to lower the cost, lower the attack. And then he drops a Law, bounces the Otama, and then drops the Robin. So now I do know that he has the Otama in hand, and he has a blocker Law, and another Robin that I do have to deal with. Go ahead and play Whitebeard Pirates. I whiff, as per usual. I'm the king of whiffs. Add 1 Dawn onto Zoro, swing 6 into his Zoro. Using Izo, swing 6 into his Zoro. Swing 6 again. I'm just trying to get cards out of his hand at this point and make sure that he can't block for free using his blocker Law. He lets his Zoro die here, and he basically has 1 card left in hand, or 2 cards left in hand. I don't attack with the Marco here because if I remember correctly, at this point I do not have any events in my hand, and I don't want to be in a position. So here he plays Curly D, and he ends up whipping his Curly D, shows the camera a little bit about what he got, and it was just very unfortunate. You see double Bonnie in there, 2 Curly Ds, and it's just unfortunate. But you know, like, if I gotta whiff 3 times in one day, he gotta whiff at least 1 time. Alright, he opts to clear my board here. I take a life from his Robin. He's at 2 to my 3, and he drops a Rush Zoro here. He does not decide to attack with the Rush Zoro, keeping it up for the following turn so he can swing very wide. I do decide to swing 8 into his Robin, just to make sure that if he does decide to block with the laws, like the laws are dying or he's dropped, because we do know that the only card in his hand right now is a Curly D, so he has only a 1k counter. So right now all I need to do is just keep swinging for 7s. I drop a Gordon and a Marco here. I am at 3 lives, so if Marco gets popped here, I'm dead. Gordon is honestly just in anticipation because I have like no cards in my hand, so I need to swing with the Gordon as well. And that's kind of just how rough like my hand is looking right now. So he has double blocker Law on board. So sorry about the glare, by the way, guys. Like this is like, once again, this is like one of my first times recording, and yeah, I hope that in the future I'll be able to eliminate that glare. Alright, so he goes 1 Dawn onto his Law, swings at me for 6, I take it, he swings for 5 with Zoro. Counter out of it using Fossa, and then here, Mans drops the 8-drop Kid, which is so unfortunate because 8-drop Kid is just such a menace against Zoro. And luckily, not knowing it, I played the Gordon the previous turn in order to get rid of, or in order to be an attacker, and not knowing that like he would top deck the 8-drop Kid here. So here, like, I know that I can't kill him. I have to get rid of the 8-drop Kid, and I have to figure out a way to do it. In my hand, I actually see a Magura, and I think I might even have a Machina. So I go Magura into my Gordon. Oh, I do double Magura into Gordon, swing into Kid for 9. He drops the Law. I now lower the Kid down to 5k using Gordon's effect. And then I swing 6. This is a huge mistake because I knew that he had the Curly D in his hand, which means that he could block with the Law and drop a Curly Dodon out of his hand to survive. I needed to swing for at minimum 7 here. So then, but now knowing he has no cards in hand, I swing 7 into his Kid, and I'm finally able to get rid of the Kid, which honestly, that was the biggest bane of my existence. And he has no cards in hand, so I swing 6k into his blocker Law, just at this point using my own blocker as an attacker to clear his board. Alright, so he goes 7k into my Marco. I let it die. He goes 8k into my Zoro. I counter out. He plays a second Zoro, and then he kills my Marco. So I am also at 0 cards at this point. Like, both of us are top decking to survive. I have 2 Maguras on board. He has no blockers, and he has 3 life, no cards in hand. So if he ends up drawing a Rad Beam or any kind of defensive card, I basically lose. He left 1 Don up just for that scenario. I swing 5, I swing 7, and then I end with a 9. The perfect way to kill him. Alright, this is the last game of the day. I am playing against another one of my good friends, Alex. He is playing Big Mom, just in case you guys can't see it. For those of you that don't know, Big Mom's effect is when you are at 2 life, you are able to take 1 life off of the top and then add a new life from your hand back to where you took that old life. And you can do this at 3 life because when you take that top life, you are then at 2, so then you can add 1 back. So at 3 life, Big Mom becomes a menace. So he plays Sanji first, I play Curly D. I did not see what I searched. Hopefully I can go back and look at that later. On the following turn, I swing 5-7, and then I search the Whitebeard here, the Newgate 9-drop, which I think, in my opinion, might have been a mistake, because later on in the game, I realized that if I'm not super healthy, then Whitebeard just never gets to hit the board. He swings to Sanji, so Sanji's effect is you take the top of your life and then add top or bottom of your life, and then you add 1 from the top of your deck, so it's basically a draw 1 as, for the cost of 2 Dawn. So my first goal is to get rid of it as soon as possible. He drops a Brule, and then he triggered, it looks like he might have triggered the Brule out of life and then played the Parasparrow. And then now he has a Parasparrow on board. I drop the Marco, KO the Brule, and then I kill the Marco with, his Sanji with my Zoro. Play a Buggy and get the Jet Pistol. He swings at me for, looks like 6, and I drop a 2k here. He swings at me for 7, I trigger a Whitebeard Pirates out of life, and I grab a Izo. He drops a 4-drop Katakuri. He does not get the effect because at this point, Alex is at more life than I am. I go 7, KO the Parasparrow. He searches another Parasparrow. Excuse me. And swing 7 again at his life. No trigger. That's what we love to hear against yellow players. No trigger. I drop the Izo. Search top 5. End up getting another Marco, which, once again, I think Marco is just the best card in the red deck right now. It's so powerful. And I think here I made a mistake. I should have, instead of using the Jet Pistol on his Katakuri, I probably should have swung with my weenies as much as possible to get him lower into his life, because they just aren't usually able to keep up with the pressure, and I want to get him to under 2 life before he can drop the 10-drop. So searches top 4 with putting, grabs his 10 drop, so now we know that he's going to be dropping that on curve. Alright, so he opts to take the bottom card, and then he adds a new one to the top, which I completely forget that he does this, and I kind of just screwed myself over on the following turn, but you guys will see that. So I go 7 into his life, he counters out of it, I go 7 again. He sovereignties. I go 7 again. He sovereignties, gets a new life on top. Actually, wait, he does not stack. I lied. He stacked the sovereignty, not what I thought he stacked. I think it was for the following turn. I end up activating Fire Fist, clear his whole board, which was huge. I think that was like probably one of the strongest plays that I did during this game. But I think that if I did swing the previous turn, I would have gotten a little bit more damage off, because he at this point is still at 2 life entering that 10 Dawn turn. And he only has 1 play. As a yellow player at 10 Dawn, you only have 1 play. Alright, he swings into my buggy, I let it die, he plays a 10 drop, now he's at 3 life to my 2 life, and I'm starting to feel a little bit uncomfortable. Play the Ezo, search top 5. And as you guys can see, I grabbed the Marco here. As you guys can see, I am at like the 10 Dawn turn, and I don't feel comfortable enough to drop my 9 drop. And it just feels like it's kind of stuck in my hand the whole time. So I go 5 into Big Mom, he takes it, and he Thunderbolts. So that Thunderbolt was the Thunderbolt that he got off the top of his life using Big Mom, 10 drop Big Mom's effect. That was really painful because I did not have any events in my hand, so he just auto died. Swing 5k again, he counters, swing 6k, counters. Drop Blocker Marco, and I have to pass turn here. But man, losing that 7k swing from the Marco was so bad on my part. I definitely should have attacked with it first, but I wanted to ramp up my attacks, like go from like 5, 5, and then 7, if that makes sense. Alright, so he searches the 7 drop Big Mom here off of Pudding effect. He's just trying to establish big bodies. Now I know that he doesn't have a double Big Mom drop though. He swings 10k into that, drops 7 drop Big Mom. You never give yellow player another life, so I took my own life, and unfortunately it was the Radical Beam. And now I know that I do not have any more in my deck. I know I can't kill him this turn with what I have on board, so I have to figure out a way to be able to clear his board. And honestly, 10 drop Big Mom being a 12k is pretty difficult for me to get over. So I go double Gordon here, bringing it down to 6k, and then I swing 8 into Big Mom 6. He only has 1 card in hand, so he can't counter out of it. And then here I establish another Marco, and I pass turn. Alright, he swings at me for 9 at life, and then he stacks another life, so now I know that that's probably either a sovereignty or something menacing. Sovereignty, Thunderbolt, Brule, like who knows. He swings at me, I block with Marco, keep Marco alive, use by pitching Whitebeard. And then now this turn I have to kill him because I do not have enough in my hand to be able to counter for 2 attacks. And I only have 1 blocker on board. If I was able to get into like a Fossa or something like that, maybe I could try and dance for another turn, but here I think I have to go for game. So then, oh, it looks like I'm actually clearing board instead, so we go Marco, and then we clear the 7-drop Big Mom out of there. We drop another Marco instead. I think here maybe I should have gone for a swing using Izo. But I think what I was doing here was the fact that I knew what he stacked, so I was worried about me attacking into his life, and then it was like a cracker or smoothie or something that he stacked already, and then him having a double, like having a second attack the following turn. So here he just attacks. I have to let my Marco die. Unfortunately, I don't have a way to bring it back, and I have to try and kill him this turn. I have to. I have 2 Marcos on board. I swing for 5. Maybe that was a mistake. Maybe I should have swung for 7 first. He has 2 Dawn up, so he's either bluffing or representing a sovereignty here. And I need to have these next 3 attacks hit. I swing for 7, and it looks like he was able to counter out of it, and unfortunately, that was it for me. And yeah, that was my locals experience, and I ended up getting 2nd place today. And hopefully next time I'll be able to do better and get better at recording. And I hope that you guys do enjoy this kind of content, because it really does help me out with my own gameplay, because I get to review how I play all of my turns. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and don't forget to swing for game. Thanks.